There are 3 Commonwealth war graves in Warmington Churchyard, the final resting place of 3 soldiers who died during the First World War. But on visiting the churchyard, there only appeared to be 2. And why is the name of one of those men not to be found on Warmington's war memorial? Warmington's vicar at the time of the First World War was the Reverend Flood. On the 19th of April 1917, he conducted the funeral service of 20-year-old Hugh Victor Turnell. Hugh was laid to rest in the family grave where his father had been buried in 1902. The Turnell family lived at Springfield House in Warmington, Hugh and his 3 brothers, their mother and grandparents. Hugh enlisted in the Honourable Artillery Company aged 19. He arrived in France on Christmas Day 1916, and on the 17th of March 1917 Hugh suffered a gunshot wound to his right lower leg. He was taken to a casualty clearing station before being transported to England on a hospital ship and on to a military hospital in York. After an operation on his leg, infection took hold and he died at 3 p.m. on the 15th of April 1917. Hugh's mother commissioned a marble plaque in her son's memory, and you can find this in the south aisle of the church, above the altar holding Warmington's Book of Remembrance. Leonard Thomas Bosworth enlisted just before Christmas 1915. At that time, he worked as a gardener and lived in the village of Polbrook. He had a wife and baby daughter. Leonard saw active service in France with the 2nd Battalion Middlesex Regiment, and in March 1917 he was admitted to a military hospital in Rouen. 2 weeks later, he became dangerously ill. Nearly a month after, he was transported to England on a hospital ship and admitted to a military hospital in Manchester on the 28th of April 1917. Leonard became increasingly weak and died of toxemia at 10:25 a.m. on the 24th of January 1918. He'd been a patient in the hospital for 272 days. The Reverend Flood conducted Leonard's funeral service at Warmington on the 30th of January 1918. Leonard was the 12th man living in Polbrook to lose his life in World War I. His name is engraved on both Polbrook and Warmington war memorials. He is mistakenly listed on Warmington's war memorial as having died in 1917. The 3rd Commonwealth war grave is for J. Moore, a private in the Machine Gun Corps, who died on the 15th of November 1918, aged 29. Born in Cumberland in 1890, Joseph Moore was orphaned at the age of 6. He lived with his grandparents in the Eden Valley before moving to London. There he served as a police constable with the Great Northern Railway, where, at a height of 6 feet 3 1/4 inches, he easily met the height requirements. Joseph married Warmington-born Mary Ellen Negus in London on New Year's Day 1912. He enlisted in the Machine Gun Corps on the 31st of October 1918. He was posted for training at Rugeley, but 2 days later he was admitted to Cannock Chase Military Hospital. He died there on the 15th of November 1918. The cause of death was pneumonia, and it's possible that this stemmed from influenza. His official length of service in the Machine Gun Corps was 16 days. Joseph's widow chose to have him buried in Warmington. The funeral, led by the Reverend Flood, took place on the 21st of November 1918. Joseph's name isn't engraved on Warmington's war memorial, but is to be found on the war memorial at the Church of St. John the Evangelist, Coat Hill, Cumbria. The unveiling of the War Memorial at Warmington took place on Armistice Day 1920. A wreath to commemorate Leonard Bosworth had this message: "In ever-loving memory of our dear Len, from his brothers and sisters, Warmington." A wreath from Hugh Turnell's mother had this message: "To the glorious dead, in memory of all." They shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.